my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal, your stop for your Power Rangers and Super Sentai review and news right here, guys, on our YouTube page, A-Plus Opinions. Thank you so much for joining us once again for a brand new episode. As always, guys, these videos are brought to you by JEfusion.com, one of the best Japanese entertainment blogs out there, guys. Certainly go ahead and check them out. But we are here today to finally wrap up Super Sentai Strongest Battle, as we're going to be breaking down episode number 4, the last episode as we are on our road to Ryusoulger, as Ryusoulger actually debuts next weekend. So who's as excited as I certainly am for this upcoming season? This past 4 weeks has been a fantastic way to build just amazing momentum going into Ryusoulger, with us getting glimpses of some of the Ryusoulgers in this mini crossover along with Geisorg. There's a lot of stuff to certainly look forward to, guys, but we are here to go ahead and break down the last episode of Super Sentai Strongest Battle. Some really great faces, guys. I've had a blast reviewing this season so far. Thank you, each and every one of you guys, for certainly joining us. If you like these reviews, feel free to go ahead and like and share these videos, guys, because we're continuing to try and grow our Power Ranger along with our Super Sentai community right here, guys. So we really appreciate all your help. So like, share, and subscribe to us, especially if you want to get Ryusoulger reviews going forward. But let's go ahead and break down this episode, guys. Episode number 4, as we continue off right where we left off at in last week's episode, with Captain Marvelous deciding to go ahead and take matters into his own hands, find his friends and family, and he puts on Geisorg's helmet for the very first time. I honestly thought that the whole entire body of armor would immediately attach itself to Marvelous, and we would have like a Captain Marvelous Geisorg version having to face off against our Rangers. Unfortunately, or I should say fortunately for the Rangers in here, though, that certainly wasn't the case. It was really nice, so they kind of see just how strong mentally Captain Marvelous was. The fact that he's able to fight off Geisorg's abilities, I'm sure it probably helps the fact that Geisorg was technically kind of defeated in last week's episode, so maybe he was like in a weakened state that allowed Captain Marvelous to still have his wits about him to a certain extent. You can clearly see that the struggle was definitely real for Captain Marvelous, right? Like his intentions was really just to use it so he can locate Taka and specifically Luka also. But even when we do see him locating them, his first slash is to go ahead and unchain them. But you do see Geisorg still fighting sort of that back and forth of control for this armor, as we get to see Marvelous as Geisorg swinging again for the second time, this time with the intentions of hurting somebody. But it's not until a saved Luka winds up picking up her gun and literally giving Captain Marvelous a headshot and knocking off the armor. So I thought that was just absolutely fantastic. I thought it was a great move from Luka. The fact that we just have this Luka and Captain Marvelous sort of chemistry with one another, I absolutely love. The fact that they're so used to working with one another and being technically a family and friends and having so many adventures, they automatically know what each other's moves are certainly going to be, and there's really no reservations between them, right? Like there's really no filters. They do what they need to do to certainly get the job done, and if that means a headshot to Captain Marvelous to save his life, she'll certainly go ahead and do that. If it means trying to punch Marvelous in the face for being a big idiot, she'll certainly go ahead and do that also. So I've always really enjoyed just sort of their relationship, because they are kind of like they are almost like the same person, just trapped in different bodies. I've always looked as Luka as like this tomboy in a way, and the fact that she's not afraid to take care of herself and strut her stuff and her swag and throw a punch every now and then. I absolutely love that about Luka. So I'm so glad that they showcased her a little bit in here. The fact that we've had her teased the past couple episodes, and the fact that she actually gets to use her abilities and showcase her stuff in this week's episode, I was just so incredibly pleased. Look, I've been a big fan of Luka. She used to be like one of my biggest crushes from Geisorg, and the actress that plays her, I believe her name is Mayo Ichimichi, just continues to get more and more gorgeous as she gets older. I think she's like 27 years old at this particular point in time. I had to look it up because for the last time I've seen her, she was on Geisorg, so this is honestly the first time I've seen her since then, So you can clearly tell just how much she's grown up. I love her new hairdo, it being a lot shorter than what I remember from Gokaiger. So it was just a really great treat to see her here in this week's episode. But if there is one woman we have to talk about, we've got to talk about the woman of the hour, and that is in fact Rita. Man, I've been so impressed with Rita in just these 4 episodes that we've gotten so far. One, she's an absolute cutie, but the fact that we're getting her character developed even more, especially over like these last 2 episodes, have really sort of drawn me into her. I was kind of getting this sort of like Rita Repulsa vibe from her. A part of me was kind of hoping that maybe she would be like a reincarnated Rita Repulsa, maybe like that same character just maybe brought back to life, or some sort of magic to kind of reincarnate her. Like just from her expressions alone, the way that she carried herself with like her maniacal laughs, the fact that she has like the staff in her hand, and she does this great moment in this episode too where she like throws the staff down into the ground, almost like Rita Repulsa, like make my monster grow, and she throws her staff down into the ground. It really reminded me of that. So I would not be surprised if this character really is an homage to Rita Repulsa, but a part of me was really hoping like, man, if we can have a return of a Rita Repulsa, maybe like at a younger age, in her prime, more powerful than ever, this is the person that I would love to just see her play that role as. So I don't know if that's the route that they're going, but the Rita character really floored me. She's just something about her facial expressions and just the emotion that she winds up drawing from, right? She does explain a little bit about her past, specifically as to why she's doing what she's doing in summoning the ultimate great Satan, where she explains that on her planet that she lived on, which was very poor planet, had very limited resources, evil, a lot of injustices were certainly taking place on her planet. And so she's seen everybody following this evil and following this evil, always hoping that heroes would certainly emerge. But those that even did emerge as heroes certainly failed, and it cost them apparently tons of children. So Rita has always lived sort of in a world of despair with sort of no hope. And so because of the fact that she doesn't see hope for herself, for her planet, or for the universe, she's like, screw it, die universe, die, or whatever she said in this episode. I really, really loved it. But you can see the focus that Rita has into completing her goal in here. But what I loved was, despite her attempt and to explain herself, we've got Stinger on the other side of things, who for the most part is trying to see just a little bit of good that's still inside of Rita. Now look, Super Sentai tends to do this thing where they've got these great monologues and these great dialogues. Sometimes, for the most part, sometimes it could be a little bit cheesy, right? Like sometimes it can be cheesy, but they're always sending such a great positive message. And the way that they deliver these speeches and these monologues and dialogues filled with so much emotion is always just so incredibly great. Like I'm sitting back listening to Stinger and I'm like, this is kind of corny. Like I'm not gonna lie, just some of the dialogue, but he delivers it in such a way that it's like, damn, I believe in heroes once again. Like it was just really great, the back and forth between those two, and just seeing further a little bit more about Stinger and how he can relate to what Rita was going through, considering the fact that he technically kind of saw his brother going through the same thing also. Now I'm assuming that they probably used some of that footage when Stinger talking about his brother, maybe from the series that he was in. So I'll have to go back and look a little bit more at it, but I'm glad that he was able to make the comparisons between his brother along with Rita. But unfortunately for us, Rita certainly does not care whatsoever. I mean, she even mentions the idea that the people that were living on Nemesis, like she found them so dull and boring or unentertaining that she just needed to blast them across to the end of the universe. Like, but she's brutal, man. She's brutal and cold-blooded, and I absolutely love that about Rita in here. So, and she almost gets her plan here with the resurrection of the ultimate great Satan, who we have to talk about. Man, I was not expecting this dude to be as huge as he was. I didn't even know what he was certainly going to look like, but he looked amazing. The special effects in here, and just honestly the battle sequences for this entire period where we see our Rangers going up against the ultimate great Satan, was absolutely incredible. Like I really feel as though they put all their budget specifically into this particular episode, which is saying a lot, because I feel like for the most part this 4-episode miniseries has looked incredible when it comes to its effects. But I will say this, the great Satan was extremely overpowerful. Like, I honestly think, like, if he's gonna hit somebody with one of these blasts that are just tearing down mountains and making volcanoes explode, these rangers should technically be dead from every single blast that they've wind up getting. But there's always something special about the power of uniting Super Sentais and really the strength that it winds up bringing. Like, one of my favorite scenes in here was that once the Super Sentai team realizes, Team Weirdo, when they realizes that they're about to be defeated, there's just something great about going back and listening to all the motivational speeches and lines that the other Super Sentai teams before them have kind of given them throughout this journey in the mini crossover, right? Like, anytime that they fought somebody one-on-one or in a team to get one of these gems or move on to the next round, they've always been left with a really great message from the Super Sentai team that they've had to defeat. And it was just really great to see those kind of brought back up to give the Rangers that motivation that they need to kind of stand up on their own and continue the fight. And that's the type of stuff that honestly really gives me goosebumps every time I watch Super Sentai. Just the motivation that they wind up giving each other and just the hope and belief that they have to go ahead and just take down some of the fiercest foes. So I really enjoyed that here this week. It was really great to honestly see Team Weirdo finally fighting once again. We really have only seen them kind of individually or maybe teamed up like one or two at the same time throughout this season. So Kagura certainly had a lot of excitement to see everybody teamed up, as I certainly did. And then when you see everybody get the opportunity to finally power up, like they're all using their power up modes, which looked fantastic. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Gokai Red, Captain Marvelous, winds up using one of the abilities he got from Aka Ranger and uses it to create the Super Sentai Special Storm ability, which I thought looked fantastic. The fact that they're kind of kicking it around like it's like this energy soccer ball. I love that Kagura uses her Supergirl ability, like her strongest girl ability, and like hits it with her head like a soccer ball, and it just bounces back to everybody before they do their final wave attack. I thought it was brilliant, and it looked great. I do have a question though. What was the theme song that was playing when he wind up summoning the Gokai Galleon along with the Super Sentai Special Storm? It sounded super catchy, and it sounded like it was almost like an older Super Sentai theme. Maybe it was from Go Ranger, since he was using like a Aka Ranger ability, so maybe that's what they kind of summoned, was this sort of the old school theme for Go Ranger. Maybe I'm wrong though. Please let me know in the comment section box below. But it was catchy as hell. Like, I was ready for them to beat some ass whenever that theme song wind up hitting. It was so catchy to me. But overall, I thought that was a really great fight. I mean, even though the Super Sentai teams do win at the end of the day, it was a little bit disappointing that unfortunately they did not get the opportunity to use their wish, since Rita used the wish to summon the ultimate great Satan. But again, I love the fact that there's always still hope, right? Like, even Taka winds up giving him one last remaining piece of the gem. He winds up handing it over to Yamato in an attempt to maybe it's powerful enough to get him that particular one wish. Unfortunately, we don't see if that wish comes true, but hopefully there's hope. And last but not least, guys, we do have to talk a little bit about Ryusoulger, since they had a much more pivotal part in this series to play than we really have seen them in the past couple of episodes. And considering the fact that we're leading into Ryusoulger next week, it certainly makes sense that they will go ahead and actually showcase themselves a little bit more in this episode, because once the ultimate great Satan is defeated, we see that Rita certainly still has a bone to pick with our Rangers and winds up summoning Geisorg's armor onto herself. I'm assuming at this particular point in time, maybe Rita's just strongest, so maybe that's why she was able to summon the armor onto her. But getting the opportunity to see Geisorg face off against our two Ryusoulgers was absolutely incredible. We see them using a couple of their Ryusouls, the Extend Soul along with the Speed Soul, and they do exactly what it is that they sound like, right? Like, I think Geisorg manages to capture Kagura and use her as a hostage, but then we get Ryusoul Black, who uses the Extend Soul, which is almost like a whip. I think he winds up using it to break Kagura free and like bring her towards him. And then of course you've got Ryusoul Green, who winds up using the speed technique and just runs circle around Geisorg. His foot movements alone, I absolutely love. You can clearly tell that this man is a swordsman and has tons of training under his belt, because footwork certainly is key, especially when it comes to using your swords and whatever the case may be. So I absolutely love what was showcased here in this week's episode. episode. And then last but not least, after the Ryusoulgers do defeat Geisorg once and for all, or I should say at the end of this episode, we do see two quick little two post-credit scenes here. One, we see that Geisorg's helmet is picked up by somebody mysterious. It's just a helmet that's picked up at this point. So Geisorg certainly will return, but we don't know who's going to be under the armor this time, which should in fact be pretty interesting. But then we also go back to seeing the Master Elder swordsman that we wind up seeing in last week's episode, who is in fact Ko's sort of leader or master in his training, and the fact that he winds up getting himself a real soul also. And I believe he mentions the idea like, now I can give this to him, or now I have one for him. So this is probably him thinking about the idea that he's getting ready to pass down this stuff to Ko, who will in fact be Real Soul Red in Ryusoulger's series. So all the pieces are certainly finally coming together, and I've been really pleased in the way that they presented everything to us, really getting us. I'm telling you, want to talk about getting people motivated and hyped for Ryusoulger? I really do think that this Super Sentai Strongest Battle certainly did the trick. But look, I loved everybody in here. I thought for the most part the cast was a really great sort of selection. Like, they could have put any sort of characters together that they certainly wanted to from any particular series, but the fact that they put these two together, that these five together, I thought was just absolutely marvelous. But let me know what you guys think. What did you think about the cast? What did you think about the storyline overall? What did you think about some of the action pieces and your excitement for Ryusoulger? Certainly let me know, guys, in the comment section box below. But that's all that we have for you guys today. We will be back next week for Beast Morphers review. We've got a Go Busters review that'll be dropping next week also, and we'll certainly be back here for Ryusoulger. So please subscribe to us here on our YouTube page and click that bell notification button, guys, so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will certainly be notified. Please also check us out on our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. And until next time, guys, Real So Cool!